Hey, what's up, Culture Drop? I am Galen. This video is about a behavior-based culture, a really, really important sort of shift in mindset, just one tweak to make about how you think about culture and how you create culture inside your organization and your team. Okay, this one's kind of just a quick hit, although watch me say that and have it be like 6 minutes long. Here's what I want to say. A lot of organizations, when it comes to culture, and this is just one tiny piece of culture, of course, a lot of you know that I do work with teams around culture and building culture, but one of the things that is the very first thing to unpack and sort of change when it comes to leaders and thinking about culture is the way that most organizations do culture now, and like historically, and like what they have in place is sort of like culture 1.0. They have a mission statement, a vision statement, and then a list of corporate values that are generally, and like no shade, no offense, but generally trust, integrity, respect, excellence, teamwork, fun, or some version of those somehow. Those are really ineffective in my mind, because value-based culture, the idea to say, these are our values, this is what we believe, this is how we show up, doesn't work. It hasn't worked for years, only because it's not that those values aren't important or that they're not positive and that we don't want people to show up like that. It's that they are not clear. And so one of the shifts that I work with teams around doing is changing your mind from this like value-based culture, these loosely based concepts and ideas like trust or respect, and translating those into behaviors and to create a clear code of conduct for the organization that says not just this is what we believe, these are the values, this is what we like to sort of believe is true about ourselves, but these are the very specific behaviors that we hold ourselves and each other accountable to, that like this is how you're expected to show up, both in like how you approach your job and how you impact and treat other people on the team. So for example, this doesn't mean you have to take your list of values or what you have in terms of your culture and throw it out the window. It's like, if you have trust, integrity, respect, etc., like what do those look like in practice? And so one of the exercises to do is just to say, what are 4 examples or 3 examples or 5 examples of each of those values in practice? What does that look like, right? Because part of the problem with value-based culture is that those words don't mean the same thing to every single person. So for example, integrity. Integrity means something different to different people. It means something different to me than it does to you or to like anyone else. It's just a loosely based sort of concept and idea of integrity. If you have 10 different people or 400 different people, they all have a different interpretation of what that means for the company. And even the person in your organization who gossips, who creates drama, who like does things that I would say lack integrity, would probably say about themselves, like, I'm full of integrity. I would never embezzle from this company, right? It's such a different definition from one person to the next. An example of that is to say, well, integrity means that we don't badmouth or gossip about other people. If you have a problem with somebody else, you go right to that person, you go right to the source, and you sort it out with them. That's a version of integrity. Integrity to me also means that like if I say I'm gonna do something, I do it. So if I have a deadline or something I need to hit, like I make sure to take ownership and accountability to hit that. No excuses, like I am responsible for that thing. So those are examples of integrity to me. One more example is excellence. Excellence is like, what does that even mean? To me, here's an example of what that looks like in practice if you're creating sort of like a behavior-based culture. Excellence means that we actively seek out feedback from other people. And we don't see feedback as a threat or criticism, we see it as an opportunity to improve and build better relationships. That's a behavior. So if 20 different people see the word excellence, it doesn't really mean anything to them. A statement that says we ask for feedback on a regular basis, we don't see it as a threat or criticism, right? We use that as an opportunity to improve. Like that is an example of excellence in practice, where you say if every employee did this consistently, that would be great. That would contribute to everyone being more excellent here. Okay, cool. So I don't want to talk forever about this, but that is one really, really critical element of culture, of establishing a really intentional, deliberate culture inside your organization is clarity. It's clarity of behaviors, and stop thinking of culture as being like these values that are loosely understood, and get really clear about what does that really look like in action? What does that look like in practice? Where if every single person in this organization read that, they would know exactly what it means, exactly how to do it from the second they're onboarded, like right? In performance evaluations, etc. They're like, this is exactly how I understand how I'm expected to show up here and hold myself and each other accountable to in our culture. Cool, that's it. One little snippet, little tidbit to like reframe as you are building cultures or thinking about culture inside your organization. Okay, go be awesome.